Hi everybody, I'm Jack. This is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Nice Sunday morning here in South Alabama. I'm enjoying these mangoes. I got hold of some mangoes the other day. I think I told you guys about that. And I'm kind of rationing myself to 3 a day. So had some mangoes and bananas and chili powder this morning, and I am ready to do a video for the day. I wanted to start the week out talking about what I consider the biggest obstacle to a raw food diet. I do videos every day, so if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate if you'd hit that subscribe button now and then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. Very important to hit that check send notifications because YouTube tends to unsubscribe people. This is happening on a number of channels. I know I've lost a few channels. I wanted to show you guys before I get started. I got some of my promotional gear in the other day. I know everything's backwards when it's in the camera, but vegan with attitude. I'm really happy at the quality, how these came out, the printing. And I should mention, as I'm wearing more of the shirts in videos or as I go along, I should make it known that whatever I'm wearing, most all of these designs come on, well, this particular one actually comes in different font colors as well, not just the green, yellow, gold, and red. I think there's a fluorescent type green. I think there's a white, but check them out. Different fonts, different colors in some of them, and different styles of shirts. I've got ladies cut shirts. I've got tank tops. I got long sleeves. I'm probably going to add some hoodies in there. So get it on with some vegan with attitude. I like this one. This was just a real simple one that Melissa came up with for me. So anyway, what is the biggest obstacle on raw food diet? Any guesses out there? Probably some people are getting real deep, real technical. They're probably gonna like send a very scientific type message of this and that, and you're missing this and blah 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 blah. The biggest obstacle on a raw food diet is the mind. The mind is the biggest obstacle on most things that hold us back in life. If we really sit back and evaluate and think logically, take the emotion out of it, like how difficult is this task at hand? Okay, if we're going to climb Everest, okay, that's got a difficulty rating of, it's on up there. You're not going, you know, a lot of people do, and a lot of people just say, hey, I'm going to climb Everest, and they climb it. But I guess the point I'm making is something like that takes a little bit more than just the mind saying they're going to do it. But when it comes to the food, I've joked about this before, especially when I was in Costa Rica and I had the big compound down there. I joked about how, okay, if I took you hostage for a month or two for my own purposes of experimentation, and I kept you on a property, or I kept you isolated, and you were dependent on me to feed you every day, and we're in the tropics, we'll go ahead and say for this little scenario, we're in the tropics. So I'm feeding you good food every day. I'm not restricting your calories. I'm feeding you mangoes. I'm feeding you pineapples. I'm feeding you papayas, bananas. I'm giving you greens to mix in there. Hell, I'll even, in this scenario, we'll even have you a Vitamix in there. I'm getting you avocados. I'm getting you coconut. I'm getting you plenty of heavy fat. I'm getting you a big variety. And all you can eat. There will never be any restriction. I will guarantee you, except for somebody that has some sort of a health condition that's an exception, after 1 month, after 2 months, this person, I don't care what diet they were coming from, there wouldn't be any major damage to them. In fact, they'd be probably healthier than they've ever been in their life. And everybody, yeah, you can say, oh, but they haven't detoxed and they need to do this and that. They could still just eating good food. The biggest obstacle is just telling yourself you can't, this negative self-thought. You know, and also too, if you took somebody out of that situation, the option of even making bad choices is gone. So I think after like about a week or so of thinking like, well, I don't even have a choice, and you don't even have to think about it anymore, and you're like, well, I'm not getting sick on this food. Actually, I'm feeling better on this food. You probably would find that it is. The struggle is an illusion of the mind. It's really an illusion of the mind. And you know, there, like I say, once again, I don't really deal with exceptions. I mean, there's always going to be exceptions, but people get caught up in the what I consider faulty process of thinking they're special. And I don't mean this one like we're all special in certain ways, but I think people consider themselves sometimes special, and this can be like a negative. They consider themselves special in a negative way. I was thinking, because she had another video where she had somebody else that was a before and an after, Melissa. I look at people like Melissa. I look at people like Tanny Raw. And, you know, people, I read comments to them sometimes as I do of other people that have done this lifestyle for a long time and are thriving. Even though they tend to post and talk a lot about the before and after, people tend to forget the before. They don't see that story, and it's always like, why? Why are your circumstances special? I was a mess. This person was a mess. This person was a mess. This person was a mess. And they somehow were able to embrace this diet, this lifestyle, and make it work, thrive. Actually, for me, like I say, it was, I made a lot of mistakes on the execution of this lifestyle, but it just resonated with me from the beginning. And that's what I'm trying to say. They put other people, or people that do YouTube, or people that are on social media, people that have already succeeded, they put them up on this pedestal like they have some sort of special circumstances. So I'll just pose the question to you. Think of the people you know, whether it's myself, whether it's Tanny Raw, whether it's Melissa. There's a number of people out there, whoever you watch, whoever you follow. Ask yourself, and you don't have to answer me, this is kind of a rhetorical question, ask yourself why. What is their special circumstance? I mean, you look at this person's picture and you see the before picture where they're 100 pounds heavier than they are now. You see the bad skin. You see just different things in their faces. It's more than just the physical. There's just a heaviness to their face that kind of tells you, wow, they even have a different mentality now. So ask yourself, what advantage did they have over you? In fact, some of the stories, if you really look at a lot of people's backstories, you're like, in fact, you're starting out in a much better place. You know, there's some of us out there that didn't just come from bad eating, but came from abusing substances, whether they were alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, whatever. So, you know, besides just the food, you're talking about letting go of substance abuse of whatever sort. And, you know, there's just so many people out there. And like I say, there will be somebody out there that's the exception that can probably tell some horrible tale of woe of why you do really have difficulties. But for the most part, like, stop putting other people on a pedestal. Look at their backstory. If you always, you know, forget the after story. You know, I think it's more I think the before stories just need to be pounded over and over and over and over. It's funny, you know, some people would want to hide their past. I oftentimes sit around and think like, God, I wish we had these camera phones and all this kind of stuff, you know, years and years ago, because I would love to just edit in and like pieces, photos from my past when I was just a mess, because you would have seen that person 6-7 years ago and you'd have said, that guy's a clown. I would never listen to anything he says. Or you would be like, yeah, that guy will be dead, you know, in 10 years. Or, wow, that's the last guy in the world I would ever expect to be living on a raw food lifestyle. I mean, I was living, you know, it was a little bit of darkness the way I was living. I was drinking every day. I was eating garbage. My mind was in a negative place. And, you know, when I saw what made sense for me, and then that's the last little thing, until it happens up here, it's never going to happen in the body. All these programs and stuff, and you can buy another book and you can buy this person's next little system to come out or whatever. But until it happens up here, it's never going to happen. All these systems and programs and this and that, I'm not necessarily even throwing it under the bus. They can be beneficial in teaching us once we've committed to this lifestyle. For instance, I committed to this lifestyle, but probably the first year, I did it kind of in a very strange way. I think one thing, what I'm saying here is it's got to happen up here. You're going to decide whether you're going to do this lifestyle or not up here. Now, there is some valuable information out there you can take from people on the execution of it once you've kind of like just decided, this makes sense to me. You gotta, why, I mean, you know, for people that are struggling, just take a step back and ask yourself, why am I doing this in the first place? Why did I even remotely, was I attracted to this in the first place? Like, what is it about what am I trying to say? What is it about a whole food plant-based lifestyle, a raw lifestyle that attracted me? Why did I think I might even want to do this? In other words, you saw something that like caught your attention, but maybe it just, maybe you just didn't understand it completely, or maybe it just didn't make the impact on you that it made on me. Like I'll tell you, and I'll finish up with my story that we kind of tell our same story over and over and over from the first weekend, and it was on a weekend sometime in the third week of January, that I saw a video or saw my first piece of information on the raw vegan lifestyle. I watched videos that whole weekend. I watched videos. Probably for 3 days, I didn't take in any information that wasn't about plant-based, raw food, stuff relating to the China study, some of the basics and whatever. And boom, it hit like that. It just made sense. And as I'm always saying, also, you can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unlearn something. And from that very first weekend, there were just certain things that I could never ignore again. There were certain things that I couldn't go back to. So to finish this one off, I'm not saying there's any sort of process that you can, that thinking like this is going to help you, but it's got to happen up here. It's always going to happen up here. There's not going to be another plan. Another recipe is not going to help you. Seeing what somebody else is going to do it until you decide you're going to do it and commit that, okay, well, I'll figure it out. I knew from the beginning, and even as I was making the mistakes, I still knew that this was the lifestyle for me, because I could feel certain traces of it starting to kick in, even though I knew, okay, well, you don't feel that great here, or this isn't blah, blah, blah. I knew, and I was committed enough, and I believed enough, and I was committed enough to, okay, well, I'm going to figure this thing out as I go. And as I've gone down the road, I've gotten a little stronger. I feel a little bit better. I'm like, wow, this is, I look back 6-8 months, a year, and I'm like, okay, I do see improvement in the sense of just mainly of how I feel, like this is working better. This is less effort. Now I can just pretty much do this. So anyhow, you've got to get it down in your head before you can execute it in your body. Hope all you guys enjoyed this video today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you again tomorrow. Hope you all have a wonderful week. Love you lots. Peace.